Don't ignore me. It's been a while, hasn't it? You're still alive. In this day and age, living on an annual income of $10,000, life must be just scraping by, especially with only a daily part-time job. My ex-wife had assumed I was low income and uneducated, and left me for another man. I don't recall ever saying my annual income was $10,000. If anything comes to mind about $10,000, it might be about Trent. Just mentioning a school festival had her concluding I was a high school dropout. My name is Ethan, 53 years old. On weekdays, I work part-time at my brother's deli. Having lived alone for a long time, I'm pretty good at cooking, so I ended up helping out on days when a skillful chef is off. The rest of the time, I enjoy clicking away at my computer or practicing the keyboard. My joy comes from the sporadic lit performances I participate in. I joined a band through a local music shop's member recruitment, and it's been 3 years now. In fact, my first band performance was at my wedding. Preparing for the wedding was less exciting than practicing with the band. If I had attended high school normally, I imagine this is what practicing for a school festival would have felt like. One day, after a gig and drinks with friends, I was on my way home when I heard a familiar voice. Turning towards the sound, I saw my ex-wife Emily and a man walking arm in arm. I prayed not to be noticed, but Emily came towards me. Emily was someone I knew for about 5 years, whom I casually started dating and married, only to divorce 2 years later. Ethan, you still haven't pawned your guitar. I cursed my luck at that moment. I pretended not to know her. Don't ignore me. It's been a while, hasn't it? You're still alive. Living on an annual income of $10,000 in this day and age, you must be barely making ends meet with just a deli part-time job. I was slightly drunk and couldn't fully grasp what Emily was saying. What do you mean? An annual income of $10,000? That's your income, right? Did I ever talk to you about my income? To be honest, it was hard to define my annual income with my job. The income varied greatly from year to year, and it was quite volatile. You just help out at your brother's deli occasionally. Does that mean you don't even make $10,000 a year? Well, that's sad. Sorry for calling you that. The man beside her chuckled. Still rocking long, red hair at your age, thinking rock and roll is the best, huh? The man next to her burst out laughing. I dyed it for today's gig. That old man's band, right? Speaking of which, what happened to those self-produced CDs? Don't try to sell them to me just because you couldn't sell. It's annoying. They're all gone, sold out quickly. Right around when Emily brought up divorce, our band had started producing our own CDs. I remembered fondly how Emily, who seemed cute back then, had helped with the lyrics and illustrations. Did you distribute the CDs at the venue? The man laughed uproariously as he spoke. Since it was self-produced with no sponsors, we couldn't make that many. Doesn't that mean you're running at a loss? With an annual income of just over $10,000, if you end up in debt, you might as well be off to the afterlife. Don't haunt me as a ghost then. Emily said, making ghost-like gestures. She looked young and honestly beautiful for her age, but I thought there were parts where age just couldn't be defied. By the way, you didn't have much education, did you? You kept asking, is this what a school festival is like? So, you must have been a high school dropout. That's why your income is below $10,000. I kind of get it now. Education and income are correlated, except maybe for some geniuses. She really knew how to say whatever she wanted. I didn't realize she was like this. Well, I first saw Emily when I casually stopped by a bar, and it was love at first sight. She was over a decade younger, but that didn't matter to me. After that, I started going to that bar every day. After visiting a few times, I gradually got to talk to Emily and eventually asked her out to a movie on a weekend. Then we had a fancy lunch and went for coffee at Starbucks, and after a few dates, I confessed and later proposed to her, and we got married. It was a feat I hadn't achieved since filling the Madison Square Garden with my band back in the day. What I liked about her was that she was petite and cute. I was attracted to her in her baddie bar uniform and her long, beautiful black hair, not to mention she was a beauty with the best smile. Honestly, I never had trouble with women until my 30s. Playing in a band, I was quite popular and did whatever I wanted. I was used to handling women who came onto me, but Emily was the one I really wanted to win over. Now, the Emily in front of me had brown hair, just like the man next to her. That reminds me. There was a day when Emily suddenly came home with her hair cut short and dyed brown. The next day, she left a divorce oath and keys on the table and left. I never knew why. But Emily had gradually changed from when we first met. When she left, I was as down as I was when my band broke up, and I spent several days in bed. After all that, it took me quite a while to forget about Emily, so why has she appeared in front of me now? And with another man, no less. Was it about money when she left the house? She kept talking about an annual income of $10,000, but I didn't understand what she meant. Where did you get that figure from? Hearing you talk about an annual income of less than $10,000. I saw it, your payslip. It was $870. So, the annual income is $10,000, Emily said. Then I understood. Emily thought my only source of income was the part-time pay from my brother's deli. That's not true. With that little pay, we couldn't have lived in that apartment we used to live in. How much was the rent for the apartment we lived in when I was with you? $10,000. So, your so-called my annual income would be gone in a month's rent. No way. That apartment cost $10,000 a month to rent. Amazing, huh? Was it like with a gatekeeper and a pool? You remember the concierge at the entrance, right? Once, we got theater tickets from them. There was a pool too. And we even went to buy a swimsuit for that. And, do you remember going to the gym? You gave up after 3 days. But we went shopping for gym wear then. And Emily, when you were in a bad mood, you would always hide in the sauna room and come out saying you felt refreshed. Emily seemed to be reminiscing about our life together. I remembered Emily trying on clothes in stores and asking me how she looked every time. At first, I gave my opinion, but gradually I got tired and just responded vaguely while looking at my phone, and she would get mad, saying, "Pay attention." I remembered having a hard time cheering her up after that. I don't want to say this, but I don't know how much your guy makes, but if you're living with him, do you have all these things? Come to think of it, there's nothing, except maybe a balance ball rolling around the room. It's really in the way because the house is small. Emily said without hesitation, glancing at her companion. The man looked apologetically. Is what this guy is saying true? Where were you living with him, Emily? You know, that apartment on the top floor. It was a hassle to get in, and the elevator took forever, so it was always irritated. But it was convenient because they would hold the packages I ordered online downstairs, so there were no redeliveries. Emily turned and pointed to a towering building. That apartment, it's a luxury complex where celebrities live. There's no way his annual income is just $10,000. I always saw TV celebrities there. Isn't that typical for New York? Have you ever met a celebrity in my apartment? Yeah, there was one living on the first floor. Forgot his name though. That guy was an unsuccessful comedian who recently got evicted for not paying rent. Ethan, were you actually rich? I realized the place we lived was incredible, but why was your car done up like a hot rod? With short skirt, I'd have to show my underwear just to sit down. Plus, the passenger seat was on the driver's side, and to top it off, I always messed up opening the upward swinging door. It was nice to get attention, but I was photographed a lot and had no privacy. Seriously rude. That's a supercar, isn't it? It was like that when I was with you, but I've calmed down now. So, You mean that loud, flashy car from back then couldn't have been bought with an annual income of $10,000? Not impossible to buy. It was a limited edition. Cost me a bit over $320,000. Got it cheaper than I expected through a contact. Wait, $320,000 for that car? You're joking, right? It was a limited edition. Only 3 came into the US. It was tough getting it. Sold it later and got some money back when buying my next car. Couldn't even fit my musical instruments in it, and yay. Getting in and out was inconvenient. Had to be careful with bumps while driving and was always nervous going somewhere. What does this guy do for a living? Involved in something shady? I don't know anything, really. All I knew about Ethan was he helped at the deli and clicked away at his computer at home, in that old man's band. I told you when we were together. You never believed me. I don't remember at all. Does an old man's band make money? Tell me. Emily's voice softened, and she unconsciously let go of the man's arm. I debuted in a band back in the day, stopped playing for a while, but then wanted to start again. It's more like a hobby now, but it got unexpectedly popular. We're about to make a major debut, but it's not making money yet. My main job is what Emily mentioned, the computer clicking stuff. I mentioned some famous female groups I worked with. I compose and provide songs for them, making music on my computer. Seriously, I've been unwittingly supporting your ex-husband. I just bought 10 CDs of that group the other day, wanted their autographs. That's why you said you were broke, seriously. Emily and the man started bickering. Oh yeah, I remember now. You said you were composing songs for girls' bands, but back then, you said it didn't pay much. Back then, I was just starting out. Now, I'm involved in most of their albums. Look it up on your phone. Most of the composers' names are EH. Ethan, that's me. True, most are EH. That's impressive. What was your old band's name? The man leaned in eagerly. Apparently, this guy used to play drums in a light music club during his student days. He said he checked out every band he heard about at that time. It was looks, but there were so many bands during that boom, you might not know it. No way, I love Alex's drumming. Own all their CDs, even played their music at a school festival. That's awesome. Can I have your autograph? I was into Alex. And it was because of him that the band broke up. I reminisced. Man, you lived with someone amazing. I'm envious. I'd love to attend your old man's band concert sometime. The man was at peak excitement, visibly thrilled. I don't know that band. Were they that popular? For Emily, it was a band she'd never heard of. She seemed to think of them as just another group among many. Look it up. Their songs were used in car commercials and even played on New Year's Eve TV specials. Indeed, our songs had been used in commercials, movies, and dramas. Emily must have heard them but didn't know the band or song names. Hearing this, she reluctantly started searching on her phone. Oh, I saw that movie with an ex-boyfriend, and I watched that drama too. Like the theme song, my high school crush sang it to me. You played on that, seriously. Though Emily only remembered things associated with men. I peeked at her phone. I composed that song. Are you the one on the far left is super handsome, amazing, though not as much as the guy in the middle. Then Emily checked the band's appearance. Right. We were probably the most popular rock band at the time. I was feeling pretty good. You're kidding. You never looked like a wealthy man. I had no interest in anything other than where I lived and my car. Instead, I made sure you never struggled, spending money on places you wanted to go and things you wanted to eat. At that moment, Emily looked at me with a mischievous glint in her eye. Of course, I chose you, after all. You had to have that kind of background and manliness. With that, Emily then linked her arm with mine. That's how it is. I think there's someone better out there for you, so goodbye. I'm going to try again with Ethan. Meeting here like this must be some kind of fate, right, Ethan? I'll take care of everything for you. just like I did before. What do you mean, Emily? Quiet. Are you saying you're better than Ethan? If anything, you just made new debts. Just when everything was paid off, I'm done with it. The man looked down dejectedly. I unlinked my arm from Emily's. Why now? No thanks. Emily is all yours. No, Emily chose you now. She was originally yours, so I'm giving her back to you. I was just borrowing her. Thanks for everything, and I'm sorry. Stop it. Don't fight over me, but I am one of a kind, so I have to choose one of you. Being beautiful is a sin. No, we're not fighting over you. If anything, we're trying to pass you off to each other. Emily, do you even hear what we're saying? Stop being so full of yourself. And who are you? Are you saying you don't understand what I'm saying because you're less educated? Sure, I only graduated high school, but I don't think I'm uneducated. The man looked at me as if to say, what about you? I went to college because of a promise I made with my parents when I started the band. What, Ethan? You went to college? You said you didn't know about school festivals. Weren't you a high school dropout? That's harsh. Even nowadays, you don't hear about rockers being high school dropouts. In high school, I was already set for a band debut and was too busy with school, live shows, TV stations, and studios. Barely made the attendance. Never attended school festivals or sports days. I even missed the school trip for recording. It was a sad high school life. Naturally, I couldn't do extracurricular activities and only made a few friends. Right. A man needs at least a college degree in today's world. You have wonderful parents. Got it? Now go away, out of my sight. I'm going to soar through the world of music with Ethan. Emily, why don't you fly off somewhere I don't know about? I will, with Ethan. Why now? You left me because you thought I only made $10,000 a year. Now that you know I have money, you want to get back together. Isn't that a bit much? What's wrong with that? We just didn't know each other well enough. Sure, $10,000 a year is a concerning amount for the future. It's your fault. But I won't blame you, because from now on, we'll work together. It's common for divorced couples to remarry. Even celebrities have done it recently. Emily looked at me with the same cute smile she had back then. Just as I was about to take the hand she offered, I heard a familiar car horn. Sorry I'm late. Even late at night, the weekend bar streets are jammed. 3 lanes and still this traffic. Hurry up and get in. I can't park here for long. What, are you picking up girls? Who's that woman? She's dressed like a young girl, but she's no different from me. Drunk, I had called someone to pick me up. I quickly got into the car. Who's that woman? You were cheating on me, weren't you? I have been silent until now, but finally, I spoke up. That should be my line. A year after we got married, I knew you were with that younger man. I believed you'd come back after being played by him, so I waited, but you left. It's over now. If it was just about being dazzled by a younger man, maybe, but realizing it was about money too, I'm glad we split. What? I'm younger and understand you better than that old woman. Don't be fooled by her, Ethan. You'll realize my worth soon enough. Can you start the car? Emily was still saying something, but I ignored her and asked Avery, who drove me, to close the door. It seemed like the ex-wife was fumbling with the door handle and even kicked the door. If I made you feel bad, I apologize. That was your ex-wife. She's chasing after us. Looking back, I saw Emily running down the middle of the road after us. It seems she found out after leaving me that the man was a braggart with a gambling addiction and massive debts. Emily struggled with non-stop work to pay them off and only recently became debt-free. So, she tried to meddle when she came across me, who she thought was worse off. She was overwhelmed just keeping herself afloat. After that, Emily called me several times, but I had her number blocked. She went back to the man she left me for, but he didn't accept her, and they split up. Emily's ex-boyfriend from the old man's band concert, still excited from the concert, started talking to me. I didn't ask, nor do I want to know. But something piqued my curiosity. After that, I stopped hearing anything about Emily. Right after Emily left our home, my assistant was replaced. The person who took over was Avery, a tall, slender beauty with long hair. Previously, I had exchanged music files with my assistant via email, but Avery insisted on face-to-face handovers using a memory stick. She would come an hour early to pick up the files and wait in my living room. I asked her to watch TV and wait, but soon I would hear the sound of a vacuum cleaner. When I went to see, Avery had started cleaning. "Sorry, am I being too noisy and bothering you?" "No need to apologize, thank you. Feel free to relax." "Can I continue then?" "Sure, go ahead." It was like this every time. Then I had an idea. What would Avery do if I cleaned the house perfectly before she arrived? So, one day, I cleaned the house and waited for her. Expecting something, I observed, but no sound came from the living room. Maybe she had started working on her tablet. Thinking so, I focused on my remaining work. But after a while, a pleasant aroma wafted through the house, and I stopped to head to the living room. "Sorry, I found something in the fridge close to its expiration date and cooked it. Please eat it later. Sometimes it's good to cook for yourself, you know." At that moment, I fell for Avery's homely charm. Or rather, she completely captured my heart from my stomach. Despite my age, I confessed my feelings to her again. And now, Avery is living with me. The Old Man's Band is doing well, featured on TV and in magazines. We've maintained our activities as before. Originally, it was a group of older guys reminiscing about the past and starting a music activity. They didn't want it to affect their main jobs. Because of this, performing live only once a month was considered good enough, and now, in a different sense, we've become a band whose tickets are hard to get, creating a buzz mainly on social media. I continued providing music, producing several million selling tracks. Riding on this momentum, my producer formed a few new groups, so I've been busy clicking away at my computer until late every night. I also kept up my part-time work at my brother's deli, living a fun yet busy life. One day, during a rare day off, I was relaxing at home. I'm back, had a good sweat at the gym, it feels great. Avery sat down next to me after returning from the gym. "You don't have to sit here, you know. We have plenty of space." I had moved from the apartment where I lived with Emily to a newly built one. I wanted everything to be new. The rent was higher, but it was worth it. Why not? My place is right next to Ethan. Hey, I want to work up another sweat with you. Saying so, Avery used my arm as a pillow and looked up at me. Yikes! I scooped Avery up in my arms. The apartment I lived in a year ago was visible. "Have you gained a little weight?" "Not at all. If anything, it's heavy weight." With that, Avery wrapped her arms around my neck and kissed me. "I'll make you forget about living in that apartment,"